Morning.
Good morning. We are going to call this meeting to order. We will begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me this morning for a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you. We will begin with the approval of the minutes from the October 7th budget meeting, October 9th meeting, the October 9th budget meetings, multiple meetings, budget meetings.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We've approved the minutes from the October 7th meetings and the October 9th and budget meetings included. Just looking, I got two agendas here and I'm making sure they're both the same.
Yeah.
I have two. They're both the same, right?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure there wasn't a change to one. Next is public request for discussion. It appears that we have someone. Darren?
How are you gonna wait until that? Didn't know if you wait until the commission order.
We could, it's up to you. If you want to wait until then,
I can wait until then. That's fine.
Yeah. Our first item up for business is Commission Order 2025-293 is approving the agreement of a lease and maintenance with Pitney Bowes. Period of 60 months.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We've approved Commission Order 2025-293. Next is 2025-294. It's approving the purchase of certain real property from Jennifer Windecker and Eric S. Keebler. I believe this is some right-of-way acquisition. Jim is not here, but I'm pretty sure that's what this is. This is on the
Yeah, it's for the Red Oak
Bridge.
80/20 project. Make a motion, we approve Commission Order 2025 TAC 294.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
same sign, motion carries. We've approved 2025-294. Next is 2025-295. Again, it's approving the purchase of certain real property from the Elbert Joint Revocable Trust, another easement for the St. Johns Creek Road Bridge Replacement Project.
Another 80/20. Make a motion, we approve Commission Order 2025 TAC 295.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've approved 2025-295. 2025-296 is the fixing levies for 2025. The rates, as we've discussed, this is the commission order that puts these in place.
Make a motion, we approve Commission Order 2025 TAC 296.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've approved the levies to be assessed by the collector of the Franklin County. Next is 2025-298. the approving and authorizing appointments to the Franklin County Building Security Committee. We have a list of appointees.
Like we skipped one, didn't we?
Oh, I skipped one?
Yeah,
Sorry.
297.
2025, 297. I seen tax levies. Thought I already did that. 2025, 297 is the utility tax levies for 2025.
Yeah, railroad, telegraph, telephone, power, light companies, pipelines. Make a motion, we approve Commission Order 2025, TAC 297.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. We've approved 2025, 297. Now we will move over to the appointments to the Franklin County Building Security Team. Once we have the appointment of these individuals and then they can meet and determine how that committee shall be run, we will get them to work. So
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've approved the appointments to the Franklin County Building Security Committee.
Thank you for getting that together, Amanda.
Next item on is Commission 2025-299, is potential the repealing of a Commission Order 2025-167. We had the conversation at possibly tabling this issue until a further date. Darren, I think this would, if you want to speak at this time, this would be appropriate.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting us go ahead and speak on this matter. We are in opposition to the commission order you just read off of there, and let me explain a little reason why. So I think most Franklin County was very happy at the fact that when MoDOT finally announced that they had improvements that they had planned for Highway 47. I mean, it's a major corridor throughout the county. And like I said, when that announcement was made, we were excited. As you three know, the MoDOT has had a long series of discussions and getting community input on the corridor, and especially for the design of the corridor. And that started back in, I think, the spring of, and I don't want to not give them the correct justice, but at least I know it started probably in the spring, if not earlier, maybe in 2024. But it's been a lot of discussion, obviously, with their community advisory group, as well as the two public meetings, and one being just as recently as last Thursday. So with that, they've gotten a lot of input. We've taken part in those meetings as a city. I know the cities of Union, St. Clair, a lot of emergency responders have also taken part, and some of the major users of that corridor over the course of the summer. When they announced what the budget was going to go ahead and be for the corridor, it was approximately $76 million for a 12.7 mile stretch of improvements. MoDOT came to us, and as when I say us, the city of Washington said, hey, there's a potential here that we could inject some more money into this project by getting another 12 to 13 million now, and possibly in their cost share program. So as I understand it, they got a second pocket. They got a first pocket of money that they have for the 76 million for the improvements. But if you want to apply for these other things, you can. So after doing so and meeting with the commission on this issue and bringing it up with you, the proposal was to go ahead and apply for the cost share. And then that was the first step. And if we were successful with that, then apply in early 2026 for STP funds so that we could get half of that cost. So right now, I think the estimate that MoDOT has given is a little over 13 million. We would be applying for a 50-50 cost share. So 6.5 million would be the local share. Then we could apply for those federal grants. What the cooperative agreement was that we worked with you all as a commission to go ahead and get. That would bring down that local cost. If we split that 20% between the city and the county, that would be approximately 650,000, somewhere in that ballpark would be what the price would be for each entity if we were successful at getting the grant. We'll know if we're successful at getting the grant in May of 2026. MoDOT, it's my understanding, and going through the cost share grant application, has to submit to a committee so that they look and they review these projects throughout the state to make sure that the money's being spent wisely and that the improvements are, necessary. And so they did, or they're in the process of reviewing that application. And in doing so, they needed to go ahead and come up with a more detailed cost estimate than what we had originally provided. We had given an early estimate by a local firm that gave us a ballpark of what we'd be looking at for this 0.7 mile stretch from Beaker Road, or I'm sorry, Suderman Road, south to approximately just north of where Mid-American Coaches is located out there. So
About the top of the hill roughly.
yeah, exactly. So in doing so, they needed a more detailed, that's what their committee asked for, was a more detailed design so they could get a better handle on the numbers. I think it's just for it's good for all involved to take a closer look to see what is this estimate going to be. That's what they did as recent as a week or two ago. They were ready to submit those plans. I want to keep in mind that everything on those plans is just for estimates only. It's for that 50-50 cost share. If there are improvements that would change, we certainly have the opportunity to address that at a later date. And I think primarily the concern of what prompted this was Commissioner Cox had asked, or was not in favor of what they had proposed on the initial, which was a possible roundabout where it would go ahead and be at the East-West Parkway roadway, which is at that same location, just north of Mid-American Coaches there. That is not the final say with regards to it. I think MoDOT, what they wanted to use, and I think what they have heard throughout all of these public hearings over the last summer has been that safety is the first and foremost priority on that corridor when it comes to design. They have looked at those intersections to be the safest way to go ahead and deal with those intersections are roundabouts. I think they would probably tell you that. If it's more efficiency and you're looking for congestion, there's some other ways that you can do it. You could do it with the traditional signalized entrance, but that's their approach typically on these projects. So I want to stress, it's my understanding that the only reason why this commission order is before you this morning is due to the fact that that roundabout is part of that early preliminary design. Again, Washington does not necessarily promote or want to have that. We want the safest route that we can for all citizens in Franklin County. They live and work, they live sometimes in St. Clair, Union. They drive north to Washington for the jobs that's in our industrial park. We want a safe route for everybody, whatever that may end up being. We just don't want to throw out all design options out the window. So in the meantime, I would encourage you to go ahead and keep the cooperative agreement in place so that we can keep moving forward, or at minimum, table it so that we can see if there is some other option that we can go ahead and work with MoDOT staff to go ahead and see if there's something else maybe that would appease Commissioner Cox. But in the meantime, we strongly suggest you keep the cooperative agreement in place.
Darren, let me ask you what the total cost of that project is going to be if this agreement goes forward.
If the agreement goes forward, I think they've got with right-of-way, I think they had about 13.9. We feel that the right-of-way is not going, that could be reduced by about 800 to 900,000 with that right-of-way because we feel that we've got some incentives for those property owners along the corridor that you could include some improvements. If not, you could take out second entrances to their property, which would make them put that in at a later date. And so I think that the value of getting those second entrances and working with us on roadways to get better access on the 47 is going to be worth a lot more than what they would get paid for with right of way. But to answer your question, I believe it's somewhere around 13.8.
When we look out again, obviously the program year, what year was the program year? If we were successful getting our grant application, our 50-50 funds, what is the program year for this project?
Well, the program year for construction is 2028.
2028.
Yeah. The cost share would be, I think we would hear from that at the December meeting of the Highway Commission when they meet. That will be the next time that they review and announce
of this year.
Of this year, correct. And then
we still have the federal application through.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to get to
STP funds through East West Gateway.
Correct. Correct.
There's several dominoes still have to fall in place for this
Absolutely.
thing to go through. I agree. I'm in favor of tabling the issue. I think that we still need to, keep our options open. Obviously, there was some, I attended the public meeting here last week and did not interject any opinions, but was trying to get some feedback from people there and say, what does the people that travel, the public, expect from this project? What are they looking for?
Mhm.
Hopefully, as we gather that, I think MoDOT will provide us some additional input, information that come from that public meeting to get us a feel for what folks are doing. So I think for us to table this is the right thing to do until we have more information before us. I support it. I think it's the right thing to do, and hopefully we can agree and just table this until we have more information.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree with what you were describing. The city of Washington approached us and asked us to participate
Mhm.
in an improvement on Highway 47, just south of your city limits. And concept, I agreed.
Mhm.
We need improvements out there. We want to lessen congestion and we want to improve the throughput, the flow of traffic on 47. But from what I've been seeing proposed, and I've made myself very clear on I've been doing traffic engineering for over 40 years, and I've experienced projects in this state and all over the country and through the world for that matter. I've worked on different projects and expressed my concern with certain designs that were not going to provide what we're looking for. So what do I see on there? The very thing that I said it wouldn't improve what we're looking for. It's not going to help improve the throughput, and it's not going to reduce the congestion on 47. And I think there's a confusion between MoDOT's 47 project, which is a 80-20 federal match, and the 50-50 match, which is STP with the state. Those are two different things. So whenever you go into a 50-50 match, you go to the state and say, this is what we'd like to do.
Mhm.
And by doing that, you don't say, what do you want us to do? This is what we would like to do. And you make a proposal. Well, the proposal I seen included a roundabout.
Mhm.
And I lost confidence at that point because I was very clear on my moving forward. And I felt like this was trying to be slipped in, in a closed session, which number one, I'm not sure, I don't agree with. It probably should have been open to the public because it concerns the public.
That was your call. That was your call.
Well, it was requested as a closed session. I was just told it was a closed session. So
We didn't request that, but MoDOT requested a meeting, and so whatever it was.
But
Yeah, I was, Jordan was the one I know that our local area engineer is the one that requested the meeting. However, we needed to
anytime
meet.
we're spending taxpayer dollars, we should try to be as open as possible, but that's neither here nor there. But on a roundabout situation, if you have a four-way stop and you want to improve it, a roundabout, I agree, it's fine. A roundabout has its place, and its place is not on Highway 47 or Highway 50. They're not designed, and I'll sit and discuss with anyone that sees otherwise and show examples. They're not designed for higher speed, and for high volume traffic. They're just not. They have their place, and the place is not there.
What's considered high speed, Ken?
Well, right now we're at 50, 55 mile an hour on 47. So I know some of the, when you start hearing traffic calming, when I hear, as a traffic engineer, when I hear traffic calming, I want to turn around and run, because traffic calming means you're going to lower the speed limit and you're going to reduce the flow of traffic through there to calm the traffic. And that's typically what you see on traffic calming. I've been through many of those projects in the past 40 years, and the majority of them has horribly failed. And it's unfortunate. And that's not what we're looking for out there. We're trying to improve the flow of traffic, not decrease the flow of traffic. And we're trying to reduce the congestion. And I understand, and I agree with you about the safety of the roadway. But typically, if you look at the heat maps that even MoDOT generated, the areas that are high accident rates are where there's congestion.
Mhm.
So the simple thing is dissociate those accidents with congestion. So if you get rid of the congestion, the accident rate will follow. It will go down. And I've proven that many places throughout, even at MoDOT when I was there. And the St. Louis County, St. Louis City. I mean, I've been all through all the different venues and worked on multiple projects. And this is not a solution that's going to get us where we want to be going forward. Overall, the project, I agree with you. I want to see us go through with this project, but I don't want to see us go backwards. I don't want to see us take a route that's already problematic, because of various reasons. In some cases, if you want to, inject a solution, you create the problem or you let the problem occur. So once a problem occurs, then you can inject your solution that you have. And that's what we're seeing somewhat out on 47. Those signals could be operated much more efficiently than they're currently being operated. And to prove that, you have multiple signals right there in Washington on 47 that don't experience backups like are being experienced down south on 47. And you've got the same volumetric traffic. Those are just better maintained, better timed, better coordinated, and than the ones that are south. And I would argue that if you allow those to go and, disrepair or whatever, yeah, you're going to have problems. It's like anything. You provide maintenance, you do studies, and you increase that. When anyone can go out there, and I challenge anyone to go out there by Pasta House in 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, watch traffic. It backs up southbound for a mile or better. And if you look at the side street, 2 or 3 cars. That tells anybody, if you see it, that's not a match of timing. You're taking way too much time away from mainline and giving it to side street when it's not required. You only have a minimal cars backed up. When you approach an intersection, the easy thing to see as a motorist, if you see equal backups all the way around, that thing's probably optimized. But when you see a backup a mile in one direction and a couple cars on the side streets, that's not optimized. That's allowed to operate insufficiently and poorly, and I think that's what we have out there. But as far as, like I said, the project goes, I'm all for this project, but I just don't want to see us go backwards. I don't want to see us put something in place that's going to worsen the condition that we already have out there.
Now, I don't disagree with any of the comments that you have. I'm just a humble city administrator that looks at $13 million more into a $76 million project, totaling it up to $89 million for the entire corridor. So if we keep this agreement in place, we're successful at getting the 50/50 cost grant and the STP funds, we're going to turn a $76 million project into an $89 million project. And we can argue the very facts, Commissioner Cox, that you bring up at a later date. What is the best at that? This doesn't lock that in stone. I think this is just to get that 50/50 cost share so they feel that they've got a better number to work with if they're going to give us the award. They want to award us this project. I would hate to turn that money down.
In that same vein, I got to ask you, is Washington against light signals there at that intersection?
No, not at all. I think we're open to discussion of anything that's going to make it a safe. And I will go with you with regards to congestion. When I took part in every one of those, I don't mind saying it, every one of those community advisory group meetings, we had the little Menti clickers that you could use as well, how they were getting input from throughout the room. I always voted on the side of congestion because I always deal with trying to come over here to Union at a peak hour, and it's like crazy. I end up taking Highway A, to be quite honest, but I always voted for the congestion, but I got to go with what the overwhelming majority, what the people voted there for, and what MoDOT is hearing is safety is number one. That's what they're hearing. And I'm not here to defend MoDOT. That's their job.
I will say this, Darren, and to that extent, that whenever they provided that data there, that was, again, from the general public, I would have thought it would have been different than that. I thought they would be more interested in congestion.
Yep.
But safety being a higher factor on the driving public, that was a little bit of a shock to me, because I would have thought it would have been more about reducing congestion. And so that did, that told me something about what the people that attended there, what was more important to them.
Well, they're one and the same. Congestion, like I said, if you look at the heat maps, where you have congestion, that's where you have the accidents. And when I mentioned I had loss of confidence in our process going forward, part of that loss of confidence is this was sold to us in closed session. The reason we're putting forth this roundabout is it costs more. So we can lock in more dollars.
That's
So
true.
it's
That's
easier
what
to go down instead of up. I know math, so I don't disagree with your math. But the challenge with that is in every public meeting that I've attended and I've read about, the ones I haven't attended, it's always given that the roundabout is a cheaper alternative. Now, all of a sudden, it's a more expensive alternative. So which is the truth?
I don't know the answer to that question, Commissioner, but I would sit there and say, well, from what I've heard in dealing with the meetings over the past summer, I think what you heard was that they may be, they cost more to initially construct, but overall maintenance is a lot cheaper than the other alternatives. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not here to defend MoDOT. We can discuss and debate this. I just don't think that to negate this agreement at this time is the best thing for all of Franklin County, to be quite honest, not just Washington, but for all of Franklin County, because again, by injecting $13 million into just this less than a mile stretch, you're saving and being able to spend more dollars further south, especially in second district.
Right. I just don't want to see it be a wasted $13 million.
I understand, but I think
That's my concern.
I just want to leave that up to a later date, and let's just make sure that the dominoes keep falling in the way that we want them. And then we can go ahead and discuss the merits of what should be at that intersection.
Okay, as a 50-50, like I said, I work for MoDOT. I took care of 10 counties for 10 years, from 85 to 95. So on a 50-50 program, you approach MoDOT and you say, this is what we'd like to do. And what do you think about it? So I would be agreeable that if we approach MoDOT with something other than a roundabout there, I'd be inclined to proceed on and table this thing today, get it over with. But I don't feel comfortable, and I'm not sure of my level of trust going forward based on how we're presently approaching this situation, because, one's a federal project with federal dollars and they're going out to the public and having these meetings and everything. The other one is totally separate. It's something that was approached to MoDOT on a 50-50 program, and you say, this is what we'd like to do. So my question is, why are we going to MoDOT saying this is what we'd like to do and we're showing a roundabout? That's
we
my
did,
challenge.
and I just want to make sure that it's very clear. We wanted to make sure that we got the improvements. We wanted 4 lanes. I'll be clear.
I want 4
We
lanes.
want 4 lanes from Studerman Road to the point where this ends, where it hits that intersection. What is best for that intersection? I think Washington is completely open with whatever is the most safest way to go ahead and get and congestion, deal with congestion and distracted drivers, all of those things that we've heard about for the last 4 months.
Again, it's what you ask for, what you approach them for. It's not what they tell you. You approach them and say, this is what we'd like to do. That's all I'm saying, is we should go to them and saying, this is what we'd like to do. And to me, a roundabout's not the answer. And I hear different arguments about the flow and constant flow of a roundabout. The law states that on a yield sign, that in the presence of conflicting traffic, that yield sign becomes a stop sign. So now, could you imagine putting stop signs out on Route 47 or Route 50? That's ludicrous. And that's what we're looking at, because the reason you want to put something there is because there's a side street demand of traffic. So that means during peak hour, there's going to be people wanting to enter that roundabout that's not on the peak flow. And that means that's going to turn into stop signs, because you're going to have to stop, evaluate to see who has the right of way. And I can tell you, once right of way is established by a peak flow, they don't want to give it up. If you're on a side street, God help you, they'll continue flowing through it. Just go out to 141 or right out by MoDOT's office out there and watch that work in a peak flow condition. Once they gain control over it, they don't want to give it up. They'll continue to flow, and you just have to sit there and wait till the queues are all done and the hordes went through there, because you can't interject yourself. They don't give you the possibility of gaining the right of way through there. So that's my problem I see with this out on 47. And I think it'd be a mistake to entertain it. I've seen the article that the Missourian put out. His article, very well written, but they're saying roundabouts up and down 47 from St. Clair all the way up to Washington. I mean, it's like, what are we doing to ourselves? You know, we got enough challenges as it is. That you talk to people that work at the hospital there in Washington,
Mhm.
glad to have those jobs. You know, I'm sure you're glad to have the hospital there, but you hear them talk. My wife was one of the employees there in anesthesiology, and the big conversation is getting home. The problem with getting home, they're working in Washington and they go home somewhere else and go down 47, a lot of them. And they're saying how long it takes them to get home. And that's a big concern. So if anything we're going to look at is making that trip longer, I don't see that as an improvement, you know? And like I said, if we lessen the congestion, which I know can be done, the accidents will follow. We'll lose the accident problem out there. And
The
just
only thing
can't-
I would just question, I don't know how you're going to lessen congestion. The demand is there. That's always going to be there. But again, I think these are all great points. I think you bring up some great points. I think it's all something that we can discuss at a later date. I would just encourage you to, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. We've got some things to do where we can secure some funds. Let's do that. And then we can have our good discussion on
It's
exactly
quite-
what it is.
It's quite very possible. And again, I don't disagree with what Commissioner Cox has stated about, and again, we could have, there's times, and I do believe that I've entered some roundabouts that I think are phenomenal, that work great, because I don't like to set and flow traffic flows. But he obviously has an expertise here. But I agree completely with you. I think it's too premature for us to make a determination. We could throw away this 50-50 cost share, have 72 or $3 or $4 million, and have roundabouts up and down 47 all the way, regardless. But again, I mean, that design hasn't been determined up to this point. And so I don't think that it'd be prudent on us to make a decision to not go forward until we have more information. Because again, we can have an $80+ million project. We know there's not enough funds to get everything we want.
No.
At all. But again, I think enhancing, getting $13+ million, through the cost share program makes sense for the county, makes sense for the constituents that we represent. And so I think it's important that we move forward. But again, tabling this is what I think is the right thing to do till we have more information in front of us.
Since this is not etched in stone, as you're saying, not decided upon, would the city be agreeable to not pursue a roundabout at that location?
I don't know that I don't know that we've had an in-depth discussion. I would probably put that in the hands of our Washington Area Transportation Committee and have them discuss that, because they meet on a monthly basis. They've been very active with the city. As you may or may not know, we've done 50-50 cost shares with MoDOT in the past. As a matter of fact, we wouldn't have had Highway 100 widened to 4 lanes until this year if we wouldn't have been aggressive and did a cost share with MoDOT. As a matter of fact, that's the reason why our transportation sales tax is in place, is so that we could go ahead, half of the funds that we were going to generate, we're going to pay for those improvements. So we have a very good working relationship with MoDOT. We want to keep that. We have no reason for distrust with them. I will say that basically as a matter of fact, we've had times where we've had good area engineers and we've had not so good area engineers. And I'm going to tell you right now that I think you're at a point where you have a very good area engineer that listens, takes takes the input of what we've heard over the last summer. What you heard last Thursday was just the second community or open house. Take advantage of that. That's all I can caution you to do.
Yeah, I'm not questioning MoDOT's capability. I'm asking a question of the city of Washington.
I don't know that answer, and I could try to go ahead and get you an answer to that. But like I said, I think we would probably kick that over to our transportation committee and see how they feel. They meet once a month, the last Monday of the month at 8 o'clock, and you're always welcome to attend. I know you've been to one of the meetings in the past. I'd be happy to put that up as an agenda item for our commission to go ahead, or for that group to go ahead and discuss. And I know that our council would probably take their recommendation very seriously.
I guess that's where my loss of confidence comes in, because you approached us to be a partner on this, and I thought we were going in as partners. But if my memory serves me right, didn't you once the city try to put in a roundabout at St. John's at 100?
No. The city has never proposed to go ahead and put a roundabout
Who
in.
proposed the
That was a
roundabout there?
MoDOT.
MoDOT.
And it felt,
MoDOT had public meeting where they possibly could get some safety funds. And from I-44 to the city limits along Highway 100 at the 5 key intersections, they were looking at the possibility of safety improvements and different things. They did have, during that meeting, it was like an open house. They basically invited, we had over 100 people participate with it. Yes, they had graphics up there of how roundabouts would work at each one of those intersections, but the city did not do that. That was MoDOT.
and it failed miserably, if I remember right.
Well, at that meeting, yes, there was a lot of concern about that, but I will tell you that what we hear now out at St. John's is they are very concerned about that intersection and turning into, and especially until you guys were able to solve the old Highway 100 route. They were very concerned about turning into the school right there at that intersection. And I will tell you, nobody feels that that's the safest intersection to turn right now.
Right, it's
So
an
I think that
uncontrolled
discussion has popped back up, but you're right. At that time, MoDOT received a lot of negative feedback. And I will even go so far as to tell you one time MoDOT they had some safety funds and they approached the city about using roundabout. This is about 7 years ago, about putting in a roundabout at Bluff Road and Highway 100 at the entrance, one of our entrances to our industrial parks. And it's a 3-way intersection at that. And we were adamant, we were opposed to it at that time because we didn't think that was going to help with the traffic that we were experiencing with our industrial park. So we went down to MoDOT's offices and we did put up a little bit of a fight about that. And thankfully they backed down from that. So that's our history with roundabouts. We're open to them, I think. But like I said, I would like to put it in the hands of that area transportation committee that we have has been instrumental in getting all of the improvements that Washington's experienced as far as transportation improvements go. And so I'd put it in their hands. That's who I would trust.
Okay, I'm not sure why everyone thinks a roundabout is a solution to everything, because it's not. It has its place, but it's not there. And I'd go on record as saying I do not and will not support any roundabouts on Highway 40, State Highway 47, or on State Highway 50, because I know that was also a discussion, which I just think it's ludicrous to spend money down that path. But I'm all for improvements. If we can do sensible improvements, I'm all for it. Sensible use of the taxpayers' dollars. And when it's done, actually be an improvement, not a hindrance to, what we already have out there. And I believe that's what roundabouts is going to bring us. But thank you for coming up here. If anybody else has any more
Darren,
questions.
thanks for your input.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank you, guys.
I think until we get a little bit more input on, from MoDOT and maybe from the Transportation Committee in Washington, I make a motion, we table this.
I don't have a problem with waiting to see what the path that the city of Washington chooses to take, but I will hold this commission order for bringing it back up, because I believe in giving people time to look at their decisions, and if you want to have the Transportation Committee look at it or whatever, but
Is that a second? Is that comment? Is that a second or do?
I'm still thinking.
I kind of took that was a second that we'd table this.
But I'm just hoping common sense will prevail here, and we can move forward with this project in a sensible manner and provide a project that will actually improve the conditions out there. And with that, I'll go ahead and second the tabling for a later date.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We've tabled Commission Order 2025-299 until a further date. Moving on to 2025-300. It is a commission order amending Commission Order 2025-288. This was an overplus refund requested by TNP Midmo Properties. I think we had that incorrectly stated on there, and it's just a correction. That's pretty much it.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. We approve 2025-300. We have also 2025-301. is the consent agenda and all the items listed thereon. We have the clerk fees and the personal property tax charges for August 25, the settlement from the Special Road District report, the Sullivan Special Road District report, settlement report, and then the auditor's financial report for September 2025.
I make a motion, we approve Commission Order 2025, TAC 301.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've approved 2025-301. Do we have any departmental reports at this time? Anyone care to speak up? Nothing. No elected officials. Nobody. Chicken doesn't want to. Nobody wants to get it. Nobody wants to do it. Outside of that, I would entertain if any other further discussion among the commission.
I'd like to talk about roundabouts.
I think we've had a fairly lively discussion about it.
Liability of.
Yeah. No, but I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.